Hello and welcome to Lapping Analytics. This is Jimmy Lapping here. I'm a psychologist and statistician with an interest in teaching, learning, assessment, statistical methods. And this is a quick video on ChatGPT, the platform that has an answer to every question, right? Well, I'm going to show you how ChatGPT can actually give wrong outcomes for simple correlation coefficients. How's that? Well, so I used the free version of ChatGPT, version 4.0, and the prompt that I gave is what you see in gray up there. You see, so I have a variable y, which has 7 observations, 1, 3, 2, 4, 6, 5, 7, and I have a variable x, which also has 7 observations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the simple question that I asked to ChatGPT is, what are Pearson's and Spearman correlation coefficient for this dataset? Fairly simple question, right? I mean, the data is available. GPT knows what Pearson's and Spearman's correlation are about. So let's see what we encounter. So ChatGPT sees, okay, we have 2 variables, x and y. Then it gives the formula for Pearson's correlation coefficient, which, yeah, is correct. And then it says, well, because x is perfectly ordered, Pearson's correlation will be close to 1 if y is roughly linear. Let's see what that brings. Then it gives a bit of R code, which, yes, I can confirm as an R user is code that works and gives you the actual Pearson's correlation coefficient. Now, the result that ChatGPT gives, well, it says this is not an equal sign, it's an approximately equal sign, okay? That Pearson's correlation is about 0.964 or about 0.96. Let's keep that number in mind, 0.96. Then Spearman's rank correlation coefficient is calculated, and it says, well, in the end, it's the same value as Pearson's correlation coefficient, 0.964 or about 0.96. No? So that's what it gives as an answer. Both Pearson's and Spearman correlation coefficients for this dataset are about 0.96. Good thing is, ChatGPT asks, would you like me to also show you the exact formula-based hand calculation for one of them, instead of just R output? So it basically suggests that it gives R output when it says 0.964, which is, I can already tell you that's not true, and we will see that in a minute. It's not actual R output, but at least ChatGPT is asking me if we would want to see the formula-based hand calculation. To which I said yes. And when you say yes, then ChatGPT proceeds. So it says, perfect, let's do the hand calculation for Pearson's correlation coefficient step by step. We have these 2 variables, we calculate means, we calculate standard deviations, then we have the covariance, we have the denominator, which is in this case the product of standard deviations, we have the Pearson's correlation coefficient. Basically, this is a step-by-step workout of the Pearson's correlation formula that we saw at the beginning, which is correct. This is all correct. When we calculate that, we find Pearson's correlation coefficient of 0.9286 or almost 0.93. Hey, that's different from the 0.96 that we got before, right? Let's scroll up for a moment. Hey, this was 0.964, and that was supposed to be our output. No? Because the question here is, would you like me to show the exact formula-based hand calculation for one of them instead of just the R output? No, that wasn't R output, I can tell you. I have put this into R, and when I put it into R, I get this outcome, 0.9286. That's the outcome that I get in R for both Pearson and Spearman correlation. Now, then they work out the Spearman's correlation, okay, also 0.9286. So ChatGPT was correct that for this data set, Pearson's and Spearman correlation yield the same value, which is Not necessarily the case for all data sets, of course, but for the current data, it seems that indeed, no, it is the case that Pearson and Spearman give the same correlation coefficient, but it's 0.929 instead of 0.964. So they say this is by hand calculation instead of R output, because the previous was supposed to be R output. Interestingly, now it says, do you want me to also explain why my earlier quick R-based estimate was off? Of course, I'm interested in that. I'm always curious. I want to see why a program or a platform calculates something in a specific way, right? It's not just the outcome. I want to see what's going on in that box. So I say yes. And then, okay, great question. Here's why I first gave you 0.964 when the true result is about 0.929. It says about 0.929 because, of course, that's a round off on 3 decimals. What happened in my earlier reply? Look at this. When I estimated the correlation using R manually, apparently not only humans do that, but ChatGPT also does that, I mistakenly recalled the output for a slightly different data set where the deviations are less symmetrical. I didn't actually run R. Now we find it out. I didn't actually run R. Interestingly, in the first response, it suggested that that was R output, which clearly it isn't. So now here it says I didn't actually run R, I just approximated based on intuition. Check this. It's not only humans and animals that have intuition. Apparently ChatGPT has some of that as well, or at least something that it calls intuition. The quick gut check, oh, I didn't know that that was possible for ChatGPT. I never thought of ChatGPT as some kind of human body with gut feelings and gut checks. But hey, look, the quick gut check I did was the data look almost perfectly linear. Pearson's and Spearman's should be very high, around 0.95 plus. Okay, that was all okay. It's of course just an estimate, but that was already a high estimate. So I gave you 0.964, just a bit above the 0.95 as an expected output. But when we carefully computed step by step, the exact number turned out to be 0.929. Yes, and if you run it in R in the first place, you will find that 0.929 as well, or any other statistical program, Jamovi, JASP, Stata. You run those numbers and you will get that coefficient for Pearson and Spearman. And then it explains here, so why are Pearson's and Spearman the same here? Well, normally Pearson's and Spearman differ. Pearson's look at linear association, Spearman looks at monotonic rank-based association. But in this data set, X is already in order and Y is perfectly monotonic except for some small swap. Because there are no ties and the deviations are symmetric, Pearson's and Spearman turn out exactly equal. Yeah, but so, okay, this is a kind of a technical explanation, which is fine to have, but what worries me is that when you tell ChatGPT, when you prompt to calculate Pearson's and Spearman correlation for what I think is a very simple data set, I mean, very small sample, 7 observations all in all, that have a value in X and Y, it gives the wrong answer. That's quite interesting. So this is, I think, if you use ChatGPT for this kind of purposes, I think it's important to keep this in mind, that ChatGPT can give wrong estimates even for simple statistics, so that you need to do a little bit of further prompting. Well, I mean, in this case, ChatGPT already asked, would you like to have a bit more? Of course, then you say yes, but it is apparently worth it still in the current version of ChatGPT, at least the free one, to see if different prompts give different outcomes. And of course, if you have a statistics program at hand, always check it in the program as well. Anyways, I thought I should share this. I hope you find this useful, and if you have any comments or questions, just drop a comment below the video. And if you like this content, I have a channel full of this kind of content, so check it out. Hope to see you again. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and have a good day.